Hi guys. Okay, SB Brian here from the High Flyer School Sales Mastery. Just before this video, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up. There's tons of videos out there telling you what to do to become great. There's hardly any that tell you what you mustn't do. So this video is really informative. I've spent over 25 years working, training, coaching with elite salespeople, trainee salespeople, and I've seen them all fall into these three traps. So take heed, enjoy the video, and obviously if you haven't hit subscribe, hit that button and then you'll be the first to get the updates twice weekly as we do new videos. Enjoy. Hi guys. Okay, short, sharp, to the point, and very, very relevant if you're climbing the ladder of sales and you want to become a champion. These are the three most common traps and bad habits you need to avoid like the plague. Let's get into them right now. Okay, so I've always called this the no sales diet. You do not want to go on the no sales diet. It doesn't taste nice. It's not good for you. In fact, there's absolutely no point whatsoever in it. But it's a trap. The number one trap of even the elite of the elite, high-flying salespeople sometimes find themselves slipping into this trap. Let me show you what it looks like. So, I've always called this one the Objection Parrot. Do not turn into that guy. Do not turn into the Objection Parrot. What does he look like? Well, what he looks like is this. Everything's going great. They're selling everything they're going on. The world couldn't be better. The sun seems to shine every day. And then, all of a sudden, you stop selling. You still got leads to go out on. You go out on those leads. But for some reason, you're not selling. You don't know why. But of course, once you've had success in sales, you automatically assume it can't be you, because I always do it that way. And that always works. But for some reason, it's not working. So what do you then do? You start to listen to those objections from your customer and believe them. Not only do you believe them, you repeat them back to your manager, your division manager, your sales director, whoever it might be, your boss, or even yourself, and convince yourself that nobody would have sold that one because XYZ. No one would have got that one because, let's think of a good example. Oh, the customers never make a decision straight away. They always want a few days to think it over. They always want to think about discussing their finances. They never ever make a decision without doing that. Interesting. We'll come back to that one in a moment because that's my favorite one, by the way. Even the elite salespeople, and I'm talking your number one champion in your organization, will still hit this little roadblock at some point. And the key to it is recognizing that it's just a numbers game, and sometimes you're like that, and other times for absolutely no reason whatsoever, you start to not sell, or you might have subconsciously changed something that you're doing. But I'll tell you what, it's not. It's not because of the sales objections that are coming up from your customer. It never is. Sales objections are part of the process of getting a sale. I've always trained people to think of them as just speed bumps. You have to slow down a little bit and negotiate the speed bump to carry on your journey. It's a doddle. There's nothing to worry about. Newsflash I've got on the bottom of this slide here. Every deal that has ever been sold has heard and overcome sales objections. So don't become that guy. Couple of examples here. My favorite. We need to discuss our finances. Well, that's a great one. But see, the objection parrot, somebody who's not selling, will say back to their superior or their manager when they report back that lead result the next day or the same day, they will say, listen, I couldn't have got that. I didn't sell it, but nobody would have sold that because these people, they never, ever, ever place an order for anything without talking about their finances first. Okay, let's think about that for a second, because that's actually the world's shortest conversation. This is what that looks like. You go, we need to discuss our finances. Yeah, sure. This is what that looks like. Darling, can we afford this? Yes, I think we can, darling. Or the other way around. Darling, can we afford this? No, definitely not. That's it. It's 10 seconds. Why would you leave an appointment and have that as a reason to not have sold that appointment? Because they needed 10 seconds to ask them each other one question. That's it. So that's crazy. But this is how the objection parrot, and listen, I've been there lots of times. You find yourself, it's only because I've been doing this a long time, I recognize these patterns, and I've seen it in the elite of the elite salespeople and sales management. It's a very, very common thing. It applies to all 4 of those common objections. I will be doing another video for you on how to get over every objection, because to be honest with you, the training we provide on our online course, it's so good. It's so strong that you actually you're so practiced and rehearsed on overcoming objections in the empathetic style. You welcome them. You want sales objections to come out, because when you hear that, your response is so fluid, so practiced, so excellent that the customer agrees with you and moves along the road with you. It's beautiful. Back to the objection parrot. Here's what you do when you're in form. The same person, the same salesperson, when he or she is at the top of their game and they get that objection, here's what they do. They take that speed bump because they're expecting it, the objection, and they don't treat them as conditions. They don't. What is a condition? A condition is something that you cannot possibly get over and therefore cannot move on and get this order here and now. A condition would be you sell insurance, you've gone to see a couple who are in lovely property, you're halfway through, you're selling them a policy for insurance which includes buildings cover and emergency cover or hurricanes, something like that. And halfway through, you discover and they tell you, we don't actually own the house, we're only renting it. That's a condition, not an objection. You can't get over that. It's going to stop you doing what you're doing. Objections are speed bumps. They're part of the process we go over to get agreement with a customer and to get them to sign an agreement, to find the happy place of getting a sale and solving your customer's problems. They are not the same as conditions. Always remember that, okay? Now, if you use skillful reframing, which again is another video I'll put up for you, which is on our training course, you can reframe any objection and make the customer see it from a different angle and totally agree with you and continue the journey. Okay. That's what you do when you're in form and you're not a parrot. Remember that. Avoid, number 1, the objection parrot syndrome. Let's move on to number 2, another favorite of mine. Second most frustrating one I've seen is when people become desperate for a sale. I've been desperate for a sale, certainly when I was younger and starting out. I was a young dad, extremely young dad. So I had to find money and think, but the worst thing you can ever do from a performance-based stance, if you like, of your results is to come over as desperate. If you come over as desperate to a buyer, forget about it. You are never, ever going to get that deal. My advice would be go outside and give yourself a checkup from the neck up, because it's not going to work. You sound like a street beggar. No one is going to buy from you if you fall for that one. So number 2, to avoid at all costs, don't try selling like a street beggar. Do not come over desperate. Easier said than done? No, not really. Just give yourself a bit of a checkup in the car before you arrive at your appointment and get yourself in the right frame of mind, and avoid portraying any signs or evidence to your buyer that you're desperate for this sale. Because in that game, there's only going to be one winner and you will not be getting this order. So that's number 2. And here's the one which graphically shows it. I didn't know whether to put this slide in, but I think it's relevant, because if you really come over in that way, like a street beggar, you're begging for their business, it doesn't smell right to a buyer. They'll run a mile and you will not get it. The third one, the last one, trap 3. Again, very, very common, and I've seen this so many times, usually with inexperienced, if I'm honest, or someone who's a little bit excitable, and that is, I call it, take the money and run. Oh my God, do not fall for this one. So everything's gone great, the appointment's gone great, it's gone so well, in fact, that the customer shook your hand, you've got the deal. Here's what you mustn't do now. Don't speed up. Don't speed up what you're doing and rush everything to get out the door, get in your car and whoosh away. The worst thing you can ever do. I can even remember a lot of years ago, somebody telling me, this very successful salesman that was working for me at the time, she said to me, I wasn't very happy at the end. I said, why was that? She said, as soon as he got my check, he was away and he wheel spinned up the drive. I still remember that now. 15, 16 years ago that happened, and it's stuck in my mind. So don't be the highway robber. When you get that agreement and the customer is so happy and you're on exactly the same, you're a great fit for each other. They reach over, you shake their hand, you've got the deal. Slow down. This is where you take your foot completely off the gas, relax. Your customers are relaxed, their body language now becomes more fluid, they're totally relaxed. A great little tip here now is to do this. It's just to say, excuse me, madam, I couldn't trouble you for a glass of water, could I? Here's what happens. One of them will get up, halfway between where they are and where the water or the kitchen is, they will turn and say, would you like a tea or a coffee or something else? That happens every time. But they are now relaxed. You want to keep them relaxed. You don't want to be laying out the door, flying away from the appointment, wheels spinning or anything like that, just because you got their deposit check or whatever it might be. Always, always, always slow down. Let this nice feeling permeate between you all. You're getting on great now. Now you can change the subject. You get your customer agreement out or whatever you use, purchase agreements, and you go through that slowly, and very concisely with them, and leave it on the best terms you possibly can. Do not be a highway robber. That's number 3. All I would say is if you avoid those 3, you're on the right path, and you're going to avoid making a catastrophic mistake, which will knock you backwards. Okay, thanks for watching.